Hey everyone, welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games. In this episode, we're going to talk about Lonestar. I am a space bounty hunter of much renown. My name is Chris.
I am a bounty being hunted down on the final level, and you think you can beat me, but you're not quite sure, but then I end up pulling out a wild card and taking you down. My name's Joseph.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen. Especially when you get lined up, you know, they're just doing like 16 damage, all of a sudden there's like 45, and you're like, wait,
yeah,
why?
It's like 300 damage. What did you do? What did I do? How did I cause this?
I can't deflect that.
Game start!
This will all make sense in just a few minutes because we're going to start talking about our first game here, which is Lonestar, which was released April 3rd, 2025. Developed by Math Tide and published by Thermite Games, retailing for $12.99. This is a roguelike strategy game with some deck building influence. I wouldn't call it a deck builder, though I do see that tag attached to it. But in this game, you take on the role of a space bounty hunter that works for the Association. I'm going to say that in quotes. You can't see me because this is an audio format. So when I did my hand quotes, that was stupid. But just know that I'm doing that. The Association. You upgrade your ship, you track down criminals, so you can earn paid vacation time. That's not so different than real life, right? Everything we do is for that paid vacation.
Sure.
This was one that you wanted to bring to the show. I got to play a little bit of it last night, which was pretty fun, to be honest. Like I was pretty into it. But I know that you got super, super deep. So jump into how this game plays for us.
Yeah, so I'm about 6 hours into it, I guess. I felt like I had spent more time in it, but I guess not. So this game is, as you say, it's a like roguelike deck builder, and not in the sense that there are cards, but
yeah, there's no actual deck.
You're upgrading the deck of your ship, if you want to really stretch that.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are, because you're getting these different tiles. So maybe a tile builder. I don't know. I don't know really how to define it. But it's Math Blaster, the game, the roguelike, and it's just way better. So you have to have a general idea of, I don't know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. And so if you got that covered, you're fine. Because the way that it works is you are like face to face in your ships. You're seeing it like a overhead, kind of seeing through the tops of the ship. Like, I can't remember. I guess like FTL is kind of like, no, FTL is not like that. I'm trying to remember a comparable game.
I mean, it basically is that you're looking inside.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's exactly what, then I was right the first time. FTL. I was thinking of some other game that wasn't FTL and confusing myself, but no. So FTL is going to be my comparison here, because this is exactly how you're looking at your ship, except you are face to face with the other ship. And between you, here's where the math comes in. There's a line of numbers, and you will be able to see the enemy like sets up their like cards or deck first. And then you're seeing what amount of damage is coming towards your ship on each of the lanes of 3 lanes. And so let's say there's 20, 20, 20. Well, you have to then find a way to overpower that with whatever sort of offense you have. So it's less about trying to like deflect it as much as it is just trying to overpower it in a way. So you don't have shields per se, or like defensive cards in the same way that you would in other games. And this one, you're just trying to be like, well, I'm doing more damage, because basically it's like a beam clash is happening, and you're trying to overpower the other person's beam clash and push it towards their ship to deal damage. That is basically how the general combat of this game works. But there's so much more to it. It gets very complex in a lot of ways, and it is so cool because there are, I believe, 9 different tiles like on your ship, like the grid of the top of your ship.
At least with that first ship. I don't know about the other ones that you can get later on.
I think they all have 9, which is just 3x3 grid. And so what you're doing is setting up the different tiles in the different spots on the ship, because sometimes it doesn't necessarily matter where they are, but some are like, this card or this part of the ship, this tile will affect all the other tiles in the same column or the same row. or it'll affect the card tile behind it. I'm going to keep saying card, but I mean
Yeah,
tiles.
I know. You really want it to be cards.
Maybe that's why they said
They're
deck building.
units.
It's like I'm not going to say units. Okay, it's
They're
going to
called
be
units.
They're going to be tiles. So the tile, it's going to affect the tile behind it or in front of it or beside it or whatever. So there's the location of these matters eventually. And there's also some elements that are like, this will disable like the front row or the front column of your ship on the enemy side. So you're like, okay, well, I need to be conscious of what I put there because I don't want this thing disabled ever. And blah, blah, blah. There's so much to it, but it gets very interesting the deeper you get into it. I was fortunate enough to like, and maybe this is a common thing, I don't know, but I was able to beat my very first run, just kind of freshly going into it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like now I really understand this process. And you can, like most roguelikes, increase the challenge level with different elements. The one that I had pushed up to was like more enemy health or something like that. And as you're going through, you're unlocking up to 3 different ships. I've unlocked all 3 of the base ships now, but within each of those ships, there are different tiles that you can get for each of them, as well as different power-up cards. And on top of that, you've got a character that you're choosing, and your characters are unlocked along the way as well. And they also offer different bonuses depending on what their character's trait is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like customization elements to this. And it's really interesting, even if you're, I don't know, turned off by the idea of it being a math game. That's like very surface level of it. And it's, you start looking past that. And it's actually very helpful to know like, oh, this is going to be the exact amount of damage this is about to do to me. How do I overpower that? How do I use my math brain and get around this?
Well, it's kind of like if you're not great at math, which I am not, like I'm going to be one of those people that was, never did great at math. I remember a time when I was a kid and my mom was so mad because I couldn't figure out my math homework. I think she threw the math book across the room because she was so angry. But that'll give you an idea of where I'm at with my level of arithmetic. But if you are still like into games like Balatro or something, if you're able to figure things out that way, and it's not necessarily on the math, but understanding the idea of this card is going to, well, damn it, I did it too. This unit or tile, whatever we want to call it, is going to affect this other one so much. As long as you can understand like those kind of processes, then you'll be able to figure it out. Especially because like once you're putting in, so we talked about how you're getting these units, you're putting them on your ship. And to make them work, your ship, or each turn, you generate energy of varying numerical values and also varying like rarity and stuff. So different units require different types of energy, like an orange, a blue, a white, whatever, depending. There's certain aspects where like if you can't figure out the math in your head, you can literally drag it around until you figure out like, oh, okay, I'm going to do the most damage here. I'll plop it into this one. One of, I think it was my first run too. I did fairly decent. Like I didn't conclude the run, but I got very, very close. I think I ended up getting taken out on the elite battle right before the last boss that I would have faced. So sad. But I had like one of those things where I had a bunch of stuff that was boosting all of my white energy things. So like I had this one in the middle that would originally only gave like +2 power to like every adjacent unit that took white, right? But then I kept upgrading that. So then it ended up being like much higher than that. Then I had something else that was just like, whatever unit is behind this one, if it's filled with white, and I put like a 3 energy slot one in there, is like add like more cards to it, like, or more energy to it. So I would throw like in one, let's say like a 5 white energy or something that I just got. It'll like copy and basically put more of those 5 energies in it. And then it would get an extra boost from that specific unit. It was like a legendary one I picked up. Then it was also getting that boost from that one I put in the middle. So it was just like all of those things compounding. Like that thing was doing so much damage every turn that like there's a couple of times literally like 2 rounds is all it would take to take some of these guys down. But then also you can get super humbled really quick if you get to some of those like elite and those bosses, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's some that have like really cheap tactics, nothing that you can't adjust around. But you have to be conscious of your fuel, which is, I believe you start with 3 and then all that lets you do is like shift where you are, like on the battlefield, like up or down. And that will like realign where the enemy is shooting towards you. Sometimes that's very necessary if they disable like a whole row of yours. It's like, I have no defense here. I really need to move or else I'm going to get straight shot by whatever they are throwing at me. So it's being conscious of that. You only get maybe 1 fuel back, unless it's a boss battle. You get 1 fuel back after a battle, unless you have treasures, which are things that are very valuable. Those are like the items you're getting in, like with any roguelike, where they will give you some kind of special ability. There's a different rarity to these treasures as well. Those are really what you want to go after. They're so helpful. And they can really build into your, however you're trying to like build your ship out, like those can completely make it where you can become almost OP in a lot of ways. But again, even if you feel that way, there's still some boss that can just shut you down because it disables an ability of yours that is the whole core to your entire like build. And it's like, oh crap, well, I don't have that, so now I'm powerless. And so that's where you have to just be very malleable and be able to adjust to what is happening in the battle. And sometimes, you know, you're just not going to be able to. Luckily, there is like a retreat tactic that you can use that takes you back to like, it resets the battle essentially. It doesn't make it where the battle happens differently. Like you'll draw the same tiles and or the same like numbered units,
the same energy,
energy or whatever every time. But it will like reset you up in case you made like a bad move or something. You're like, oh, I think I could have done this differently. That's your opportunity to do so. You get an achievement if you get through the whole game without using any of those. I did on my first time, just like, I didn't even know it existed. So it was like, oh, cool. Well, nice. I got that. But it's something that they do encourage you to use. And there's also little cards that you'll get that are 1 time per run uses. Like it'll either give you health back, give you fuel back, take you to a shop, things like that. And so you just have to kind of decide when you want to use those. And so there's a lot to it. Also, you can play as pets. I think they're called beastkin in this game, but you can play as
awesome.
a cat with the scouter on, a dog with a scarf. Like my best run that I'm still in the middle of actually as of this recording is with the dog. And so he's pretty awesome. And then like you even see this like dog or it might have been a cat, I can't remember, but you see a pet in one of those like large globe space helmets just kind of floating around in the background if you wait on the title screen for a while. So I don't know.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to this game. It's very like nuanced in a way where I could see people I for one am getting really into it because I like math and formulas and stuff. So this is working for me in a way that it hasn't really like done in a while, or I haven't played a game like this in a while that's kind of challenged my brain to think this way. And I appreciate that about it. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've won more than I've lost run wise. So, you know, I'm going to keep going with it and see, I guess until I hit a point where it's like, okay, now it's gotten too hard because I've raised this challenge level to where it's like the fun's taken away from it. I'll probably play until it's not fun to me anymore, at least.
We found like our crossover where like we both like a game, because usually it's just like there'll be one that sometimes I'll like it, but usually I'll be like, yeah, that was cool. It's not like it's too hard for me. Or I'll bring one and you're like, nope, this is not a Joseph game. I think we found one that we're both like really into and both would play a lot of.
It's hard enough for me, and I don't know, like light on the math enough for you. I get easy enough for you, maybe.
It's hard enough for you. It's dumb enough for no. I'm just no, but it's really cool. I also appreciate that there are a lot of unlocks to it too. As someone that like is, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm an achievement hunter because there's plenty of games that I won't 100%, but like there are certain games that for whatever reason click with me, and I just like, I need to try to unlock as much as I can. Like you all know, Vampire Survivors has been that. I started down that path with Rogue Genesia, and this, I feel like this is going to be another one, because like, especially because it feels like one that you could like really just pick up, jump in real quick, because it's not like, you know, super actiony. It's not, there's nothing on a timer or anything. I didn't look to see if you can save your run, but I'm assuming you can, because otherwise there's no way we would be recording right now since you were still doing a run.
Yeah. And and it's still going because I keep resetting I'm on the very final battle of this 5 boss in a row battle thing that happens after the run, and like after you win the run. And so I'm trying to see if there's any way I could strategize around this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I at least want to give it a few more shots before I give up and like lose it right there. Cause my dog is so powerful. Like I know he can do it. He's just got to believe in himself.
You gotta give him a Scooby snack or something, you know?
Something. But it's a really good game. If you like roguelikes and you like just any kind of, I'm going to say deck building because I understand what they mean by it, but it's not cards. Let me reiterate, it is not cards. It's these tiles. So if you enjoy something like that or setting up like a system sort of thing, this will really float your boat, I think. And since it's a roguelike, it's like a temporary thing. You reset it, you start fresh. All the runs have been very unique in my experience so far. So there's a lot to play with here, and a lot of unlocks. Like you said, I'm not an achievement hunter by any means. And still, I don't care about the achievements at all, but I do like unlockable things. And so that's what I'm going to probably go after for the most part.
Yeah, especially knowing how many characters you can unlock, because there's a lot of them.
There's so many. I'm level like 15 or 16 or something, and I think it unlocks go up to like level 80 something or 100. So I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I appreciate that there's something to seek after.
And what's great too is about the amount of unlocks, because I want to say, I thought I read somewhere there was 60 characters or something, but I could be off on that. But like, you think about how each one plays differently, because each of those characters has a different sort of like pro or con to it, you know? So that means like the amount of replayability to this game is wild based on that.
My only, not a complaint, but I only wish there were more ships. There are so many boss ships.
I would say that too.
I wish that you could unlock the boss ship like schematics. Like those are so cool. Some of them are shaped like crabs or scorpions and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, these ships are badass. I want
maybe
these.
In like a DLC. You know what?
Maybe.
I would love to, and I don't get into this kind of idea for a game, but like I would love the idea to be able to build your own ship before you start.
Nope.
I would love that.
No.
I'm going to do that. You know what? I'm going to contact them right now. I'm going to call them up.
I hope they shoot you down, but they're like, you know what? We will add boss ships though, because that's a much better idea.
Joseph said all he wants from this game is to build his own ships. That's what he wants.
We have it recorded that is not the case. I disagree. I don't like when you can like do things like that. It just doesn't add to it for me. That just makes like a weird sort of like, I don't know, like mess of a deal. Just give me the ships. Let me customize the ships from within. I just don't want to bother with like build your own ship. But there might be that mode actually, because there is like a lock thing that says like custom battles or something at the bottom once you hit level 30. But I don't know what that means yet because I'm not level 30. Hopefully that I can unlock boss ships.
You know, I didn't even think about it, but since the developer is math tied, I guess it makes sense that this game is very math focused. So,
yeah, I mean, we're making it sound like it's like, I don't know, you got to know like math to do it. It's not. Yeah,
you don't have to be Mensa level to play this game. You know,
I think if you've passed the 3rd grade, you could probably play this game. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, like if you struggle with it at first, you're just going to get better the more you play it, just like any game, because you'll start figuring out like all the synergies and stuff, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like really, that's what is going to make or break your run is filling up your ship with things that are all going to work in tandem together. So
setting up those chains. And I think this would be a good one to play with kids, or for a kid to play. If you're on the fence about letting your kids play video games, let them play this. They'll learn math a little bit. They'll be smarter for it.
Oh my gosh, there you go. This is how I'm going to teach my daughter math.
There you go.
Is she's going to play this game, even though like she's still
and how to hunt
can't
bounties.
even count to 2 yet, but.
We're working after this game, she'll be able to.
Oh yeah, after this game, she'll be like, how am I supposed to block a 45? Like, come on. Yeah. So I was, it was a fun game though.
No, it's good. It's good.
it was really fun. Like this was one I played a little bit of it yesterday. Last night, I popped it on right before I went into bed, like on my thing that I can't remember the name of real quick. Joseph, fix my broken brain.
Your Steam Deck.
My Steam Deck. Yeah, I popped it onto my Steam Deck, which it runs perfectly fine. It's not anything that's taxing. And yeah, it was great. I just kind of popped in some headphones and sort of zoned out into the game and got into a groove, and I was having a great time with it. So
I just want to point out that I have this achievement, Color Master, which is using the last ship to complete the game. But only reason I bring it up is because only 0.1% of players at this time have this achievement. So I'm one of those.
All right, Mr. Humble Brag. That's not even humble. You're just bragging.
Not. I'm bragging. You're the one who was talking about achievements. So there you go. Get
like,
that achievement, bro.
Listen how good I am. I'm in the 0.1% now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with my life. Yeah. So, yeah.
So this game has been out for roughly a year in early access, but it just came out in the 1.0 release a few days ago. So that's a lot of people have experience with this. If you are looking online for reviews of it, a lot of it will be from a year ago when the early access released. I don't know how different it is because I did not play the early access, but I can tell you the finished version, very good.
Combo!
Let's talk about what other games we've been playing this week. One of the games that I played this week was Peppered. This was one that I talked about a little bit last week on one of the ones I was looking forward to. And this is the demo that I played. This releases on April 13th. So this was the game I was telling you about where you have like one chance at everything, which is like how they're advertising it and everything. You remember me talking about that last week?
What is it? Say again?
It's
I don't remember
Peppered.
You talking about it.
So this was, this was the game
familiar.
that was saying like you've got one shot at everything, and then like if you fail, it branches to something else.
I do remember that. Yeah.
I feel like that advertising is slightly misleading when they're saying you've got one chance at everything, because of the fact that you have to die a lot. Like you have to. There's like parts of this game, at least early in the game, where it's obviously not one shot at everything, but I do see where this comes into play. I'll get into how that works, but just real quick to give you a flavor of the game. So this is like, there is an overarching story to this thing. You are playing as like this office intern in a world where no one really seems to like die, or, if they die, they don't stay dead. That's because the god of death is kept satiated through a specific ceremony every year and kind of kept dormant. However, this year something has gone wrong and everyone is just kind of too incompetent to fix the problem. So you decide to stop the god of death from awakening yourself. And part of that process is you steal this like sacred star for the kind of ceremony thing. And that basically gets you labeled as a thief. You're on the run from everybody in this game that is mostly a platformer, but there are other things involved too. But I would say like 95% of this thing is like platforming in some way, shape, or form. But sometimes you are just making a dialogue choice or something like that. And when that happens, it definitely does change the story. And then when it comes down to like a boss fight or some kind of big moment or something, those are where you definitely only have like one shot. And if you screw that up, get killed or whatever, like you always revive. And I think that's kind of like how they get around this idea is that at the moment, because the god of death has not awoken yet, there's like all these little like res places around, which are like little bus stops. And every time you die, you just show up right back at that bus stop. So, but if you get killed like during a boss fight or something like that, it's just like that story keeps going, just with the idea that that event happened. Like I was in a boss fight with this like cop character. I almost got through it, but they got me at the very last second. And that story went through of like, you know, the cop had me dead to rights, but then something else happens. And then when you finish the demo, it kind of tells you like where things could have changed for you. So it named all these different points. And I was like, oh, that's actually really fascinating. But there is like the part where I was kind of like, I wouldn't say it's every single thing, you know, like every shot counts, is because you will die a lot and still be able to do certain parts of that same level again with that auto-resing thing at those checkpoints and everything. And like I said at the very beginning, there are parts in this where you have to die to move on to the next part. In that way, that it kind of reminded me of Braid in a few ideas of just the unconventional sort of puzzling together how to get through this platforming thing when it seems like I can't just, you know, move through the level or anything. I got to figure something else out. And it's like, oh, I got to get up here, activate the checkpoint, which I can't even reach. And then I have to die somewhere near it. So I res over by the checkpoint, which will move me on to the other side. So it's like stuff like that. But again, there are spots that you obviously do have just the one shot to do something, and the story will change in alignment with whatever the outcome of that was. But it is very funny, which I didn't realize this was going to be kind of like a, you know, a comedy sort of thing. But it's really good. It's got really good writing to it. It's very, very witty. And the gameplay is pretty good. There are a few things that I would say I'm not sure about, which is like the jumping mechanic. I'm not super big on. I think they could have.
Does it feel too floaty or what?
No, it's mainly like you can't jump very high. And for a platformer, I feel like maybe you could have some better jumping mechanics in it. The caveat to that is that there are places where if you do need to reach something like higher up, there's like these certain like switches that you kind of like activate that will spring you up higher into the air. But it just feels weird because you don't just like run over to it, hit a button. You have to like go over to it, jump up, ground pound on it, and then it'll launch you up. That just felt clunky to me. So I don't know. I feel like that process could have been smoothed out a little bit. But like for the most part, the gameplay was pretty fun and I had a pretty good time with it. So it's really interesting, honestly. Like I would definitely recommend at least playing the demo, checking it out and seeing if this is a game that you'd be into.
Yeah, I'd be curious to try it out, at least just to see like what the branching paths actually affect. And like,
yeah.
The idea is cool. So I guess it's just like seeing what that's like in execution.
I think the one thing that I will bring up is that as I was playing it, I wasn't really feeling or seeing I didn't feel the agency I had in the game until I had completed the demo. And then it kind of pointed out to me, like, these are all the things where you could have done this, or you could have done this, or you could have done this, but you did this, and that's why this. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. So now I'm seeing where all those things happen. But as I was playing the game, everything just felt so like fluid that like it didn't seem like I was changing anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But can you give me like, maybe you did already, I just didn't hear or misheard, but can you give me like an example of like one of the things that it said you could have done differently that you didn't realize that you even did? You know what I mean?
Okay. So yeah, there's one example pretty early on, and it comes with when you're stealing that ceremonial star. You're like on this rooftop and there's this one woman who's trying to stop you. And it tells you you're both in office chairs and you're kind of like slamming into each other with the chairs, and it's telling you to push her off the roof. So I'm like, okay. All right. So I'm like smacking into her with my office chair till she goes flying off the roof, and then I steal the star. Well, at the end, it's like you push blah, blah, blah off the roof. like you could have solved this in a passive way. And I'm like, wait, I didn't know I could solve this in a passive way. You told me to push her off the roof. So yeah,
interesting.
That was one of those things.
So it's like, don't always listen to what the game is telling you to do if you see an alternative option, or there may be an alternative option regardless. That's cool.
Right, exactly. So I don't know. I was like, I don't know how I would have done that unless maybe I jumped off the roof myself or something, or well, I guess if she, and then also if she pushed me off the roof, I guess, there's different ways that could have branched right there.
Or maybe it's like a timing thing. Like if you go back and forth enough, then she just calls it a draw. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
That reminds me of like Fable, where it's like, Mr. Toad will remember this kind of deal after you make any of those choices. So I'm okay. Yeah, like this has definitely garnered my interest. I'll play the demo.
I think the only issue I have is I expected, to be able to perceive where these branches are going to happen. And I just wasn't perceiving that as I was playing the game.
But I like that, because then you can't really you can't micromanage it or whatever.
Well, exactly. Whole thing. Yeah. Well, and I think that was the downfall. If I wasn't thinking in my head, and I think maybe that's a little on me and maybe a part on that advertising too, of just pushing it as a every shot counts kind of thing. It's like, so I went in with that mindset of like, okay, everything I do is gonna, and it wasn't quite like that. And I wasn't seeing, as I'm going through it, where that was coming into play. So I was kind of like, oh, I mean, it's still a fun game. I don't see what they were talking about until I got to the end, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Now I get it. So
yeah, I appreciate that though. So then I won't go in with the, I guess, predetermined kind of thoughts of like, okay, this is my branching path. I need to make a decision. I just have to play it naturally and see what happens. That's neat.
Yeah, just play and see. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy it, honestly, especially like there's some platforming parts that are very satisfying. So I think that you'll have a good time with this specifically.
Yeah, sounds like it. It's already on my wish list now.
Boom.
So I played a little bit. So, okay, couple things. Knock on the Coffin Lid is a game that came out last year, and we talked about last year.
Yes.
I played it last year. I loved it last year. And this past week, the DLC for it came out, Nightmare of Millenis. And
oh yeah,
I got to play, or I played a little bit this morning. Of course, I bought the DLC. It was like $10. I was like, yeah, heck yeah, this is such a good game. This is only just going to expand on that. I will say that I don't think that I really got to experience any of the DLC content yet, because I'm just trying to like remember how to play again and kind of play through. I did like 2 or 3 runs trying to like get a grasp of it again. Like, okay, now I understand how to play again. Okay, now let's go and start doing some of the DLC stuff. What the DLC is adding, okay, let me step back a little bit and say this is an actual roguelike deck builder game with cards, not units, not tiles, but actual cards. And just look it up. Like the visuals are fantastic. The story's great. It doesn't have like a randomized map like most roguelikes. It has like a map with different paths that you can go on. There might be some battles that happen slightly differently, but essentially you are traveling different parts of this map on each run, and they are predetermined paths you can make different choices on, which then affects how the rest of that path's going to play out. So it's not randomized, but it still has so much variety to it. And that's me talking about the base game still. But with the DLC, a couple things that added were these tarot cards that like help. They either add some sort of new challenges or unique locations or things like that. I haven't experienced any of that, so I can't speak from experience. It concludes the stories of the 3 protagonists you're playing as, so you can actually see the story through to the end now. It changes the way some of the events progress. It rebalanced a lot of things. I didn't feel like it was super unbalanced before, but maybe there was something that was broken in there. And so they fixed those things. And it's just so much content added to something that is already so content heavy that I'm excited to just continue playing this game. And it kind of gave me a resurgence of excitement about it, because it's one that I had honestly forgotten about because we play so many games. But the moment I saw
Yeah.
that DLC come out, it all came flooding back and this like dopamine hit of like, oh yeah, I love this game. So yeah, I'm very excited to just keep diving in and seeing what this DLC has to offer.
Oh man, one, I would love to get back into that game too because I had a really good time playing that.
So good.
I have a very specific memory of there was one time I had to take Rochelle downtown because she wanted to donate plasma. That takes a little while, so I just had the Steam Deck and I sat in the car and I played that the entire time. It was just like 2 hours of me sitting there on my Steam Deck, just in the car, just chilling, playing it. It was a great time, man. It was like raining outside, so the perfect ambiance for that kind of thing. But when you're talking about like we play so many games, it's like, yeah, I had to get to a point where like, we've talked about like end of year, we want to do kind of like our own little like our favorites or awards or something. I've had to start making notes on like whenever like a game like super stands out to me for a specific reason. I had to make a document so I can put that game in there and like why it stood out. Because otherwise, like we're going to get to the end of the year or something and be like, okay, what was our favorite? I don't know, what game did we like the art of the most? And I'll be like, I don't remember any game we played this last year.
Yeah, I'm glad that Steam at least reminds you of, or has a list of everything you played and for how long you played it. So I can go back to that like, oh yeah, forgot about that, but I loved it. So that was sort of the advantage that Nine Souls had, was it came so close to the end of the year that it was very, very fresh in my mind. Not to say that it didn't deserve my game of the year or indie game of the year, but I feel like it was empowered by the fact that it was so fresh.
It was right there. Yeah. One thing I'm interested in is to see like out of all the games we do play, because we play so many and we have to jump from game to game, is which game we did spend the most time in during the year, like once we get back to the end, because Steam will tell you, which one you played the most hours of.
And it's usually surprising / depressing seeing where you spent the most time. Like, oh, this garbage game. Why did I spend so much time playing that trash?
It'll be something that you won't think of. You'll be like, oh yeah, I did spend so much time, playing Metal Bringer. But then you're going to look and it'll be like DayZ and you'll be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I know DayZ is going to get a lot of my time. Honestly, like at this point, I think it's probably Project Tachyon. I spent like 18 plus hours on that. Or no, that's not true. I was just looking. It's Rogue Genesia is 21 hours. How? I didn't feel like I played it that much.
See, it's a surprise.
Oh, never mind. Metal Bringer, 25 hours. All right.
Oh my
They
God.
just keep topping each other.
Yeah. I think mine's Rogue Genesia so far this year, but we'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to try to make it Lonestar by the end of the year. We'll see if I can stand it for 20 plus hours. I hope so.
Final round.
Let's talk about other games on our radar wish list or play calendar. There's one I wanted to bring up that releases on the 9th, which is, I think, the day that this episode comes out. This is Nautical Survival. This is a nautical themed bullet heaven where you're a boat at sea and you can upgrade things. You can upgrade your boat, your guns and everything. You can hire crew. And I just really like the art style of this, and I'm interested to see how it plays.
I heard you burp.
I had to burp, so I had to get through that really fast.
Can you see how it plays?
Yeah. So that was one that I had seen during Steam Next Fest. I saw it. I do like my bullet heavens, and this one looks very different than most of the other ones, like with the theme and everything. So I'm really interested to check it out.
Let me look at that one. I've not heard of it.
Sure.
So you're okay. So Vampire Survivors in a boat sort of deal. I like the graphics of it though. Those are really cool looking.
Yeah, exactly. Like it looks cool.
I can get behind that. I'm wish listing it right now.
It almost like graphically almost reminds me a little bit of was it 20 Minutes Till Dawn, which I think was like the very first, at least I can think of the first game that was akin to Vampire Survivors. It just uses a similar graphic style with like very specific, like limited color palette and everything.
Yeah, I think the limited color palette definitely like screams that to me. Because I was thinking about the game you were talking about, and I think you're right.
But I liked both of those, so I'm very interested in this one. I think it'll be fun.
There is a game that's coming out on the 12th that I hadn't heard of, but I had just started looking around. It's called Lunacid or Lunacid. I don't know how to say that. Tears of the Moon. And this one is a dungeon crawling action RPG. It's got like, PS1 graphics or whatever you want to call it, old PC graphics, but it looks really cool. It's like a first person sort of Skyrim like, I would say, if you want to put that into words, or like, I'm not even, can you even attack? I'm not even, you cast spells. Okay. Well, that's, it just looks interesting to me because it's coming off of playing the one that Fly Night. What was the bug one? Yes, Fly Night. Coming off of playing Fly Night, this has a very similar look to me. And so I'm curious.
It reminds me of that.
Like how that's going to play. I don't know anything about it other than, Kingsfield like is just something that I'm going to probably keep referring back to only because that seems to be a thing that they're going for now. There's been too many Souls like, time to go back to Kingsfield. That's
not something that I foresaw coming this year, was that as a boom, for a genre. But like here we are getting a lot of it. Now, like we did predict that we'd be getting a lot of games with this kind of specific, art style using like the N64 PS1 style graphics. And that, man, there's so many games using that now. Like I'm even looking at the textures in this game right here for Lunacid. There's like a specific screenshot. There's a couple of screenshots like outside, and I'm like, yeah, like this could have fit right in with like Ocarina of Time with some of these screenshots and everything.
What it kind of reminds me of is EverQuest. If you ever played the original EverQuest.
Yeah, I can see that big time.
But so another Kingsfield, like, don't know anything about it other than that, but I will at least try it out once it comes out. Because that kind of stuff right up my alley.
Cool beans. Yeah, that is from Kira LLC. And it looks like, you said April 12th. So, okay. Well, there we go. It looks really cool. I'm loving the style and everything. And speaking of style, if you want to show off your style and how cool you are, share this episode with someone who loves indie games. I'm reaching there. I didn't have a good one. You can always catch me playing some of the games we talked about over on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/nerdsloth, as well as lots of other Let's Play content over there. And catch hundreds of hours of bonus content for $1 a month at the Nerdsloth Treehouse, which is patreon.com/nerdsloth. We've also got an exclusive podcast there called the Nerdsloth Podcast for those at the $5 tier. At our website, nerdsloth.com, you can find a link to our Discord, our merch store, all kinds of good stuff. There's a big picture of me and Joseph on there doing like a fusion dance pose or something.
Man, that must be super old.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's got like our original Nerdsloth logo from like years ago. Like years and years and years and years. Like, I don't know, man. It's been almost like 10 years now, something like that. So
a decade of podcasting.
Right? You can also join our subreddit for Indie Game Arcade. Help me post some more reviews of indie games so more folks can find games that suit their playstyle. I think the last one I posted was for Immortality from Sam Barlow, which is a crazy game. Very good game.
Game over.
But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Sloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Lime. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.